And now, podcasting from the sun-scorched desert Southwest, weighing in at a combined total of 340 pounds, Brad Winchester, Tyler McDowell-Blanken, R. Gimmick Infringement.
Welcome, everybody, to the Gimmick Infringement Podcast. I am Brad Winchester, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner, Tyler McDowell-Blanken. Tyler, it is Sunday, as usual. It's a normal Sunday for us. We have a regular week of content ahead, but we're really excited for this one. How are you?
Yes, we do. I'm so excited, Brad. This is going to be, I can feel it in the air, man. This is going to be a great episode. So much to discuss. I'm doing well. I want to start by giving two big shout outs. One that I neglected to mention last week. I hope this gentleman accepts my sincerest apologies. Big shout out to Mike Steff, host of the Salty Thoughts of Mike Steff. I had the honor of joining him on his show. We talked so much, Brad. New York Jets, dating then versus now, dating in his days versus what it's like these days for me. We talked reality TV shows. So I got in some batch talk, which I'm going to attempt to do on GI today. We'll get into that later. Yeah, so much love to Mike. And then second, big shout out to host of Hit to the Games, fellow 19 media member, Desmond Powell. Him and I wrote an article for our site, gimmickinfringementpod.com, which you do an amazing job of upkeeping, Brad. I always get so excited when I go on there. I'm like, man, this is something that, like, when I share it with friends or coworkers, they're always impressed. They think it's going to be some sort of Google Sites gimmick. And I tell them, no, like, I know a guy located in Miranda, Arizona, who's a boss and has many talents, and website development is one of them. So big shout out to Desmond Powell. He's amazing, Brad. We always speak so highly of him. He shows so much love to us. So him and I collaborated on a piece discussing the 10th anniversary of Drake's infamous album, Nothing Was the Same. I loved what we did there. I love you. I love Des. I love Mike. I'm doing well, man. I stubbed my toe this morning when I got up from sleeping in the middle of the night. So my toe really hurts. I was just going to no-sell it and not even bring it up, but I don't know if that's ever happened to you, Brad, where it's just you want to no-sell something. Maybe in a younger day you would shake it off, but I stubbed my toe at like 3 a.m, and here I am 8 hours later sharing with you that it is still in pain. Other than that, life is good. I'm chilling. I'm excited to be here. How are you, my man?
I'm good. I didn't stub my toe.
True story.
Lots of things happening. I didn't stub my toe. My brain stubbed itself and gave me a migraine this morning, but it's steadily feels like it's steadily decreasing. We'll see how the day goes. Lots of things to do around here. Lots of good, some bad. Yeah, there's a lot I could say right now, but I think I'll keep that to myself for the sake of time and for the sake of the audience. But I do want to talk about this before we get started. In our production meeting, we brought something up. You brought something up, and I thought we really need to address this, Tyler. I want to talk about undergrad classes. Tyler, you mentioned something, and it got me thinking. Like, is it an unwritten rule? Since that seems to be a theme.
I was going to say, this is bringing me back to last week's episode, unwritten social rules.
And I want to hear from you guys. If you're listening to this right now and you have college experience, not first year college experience, second year at least college experience, is it sort of an unwritten rule, unless impossible otherwise, because it's the only option, to never take a Friday class? Tyler, the only time I think I took a Friday class is when I had to. It was the only option. It was a graduation requirement, and I was getting close. Pretty sure that's what happened. Otherwise, I don't believe I took a single Friday class on purpose.
On purpose is the key word. Okay, so I have to admit, I was fronting a little bit during our production meeting. I definitely had Friday classes during freshman year, but again, your question was, your question was second year, sophomore year and beyond. So I didn't lie to you. I omitted this piece of really crucial information. My favorite class during my whole 4 years at the University of Arizona was a Friday class, Brad. And get this, my recollection is I think it was like a 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. class. It was a 3-hour nonfiction writing class. There were about 20 of us. I think it was led by a grad student at the time. He was amazing. He was witty yet professional and talented. That was by far my favorite. And it was a Friday from 1 to 4, Brad. I think other than freshman year and that class, which I want to say was junior or senior year, I don't think I had many Friday courses. Who does that?
Well, that's
intentionally. You did not do yours intentionally, to clarify.
no, but yours was probably, you took that class, you enjoyed that class, all of
Loved
that
it.
stuff.
Loved
You
it.
knew that after you started taking the class.
Mhm.
My guess is going into that class, you had to take one of those English classes. You had to get it out of the way. It was the only one left on the list that sounded any kind of interesting to you. So that's the one that you picked, and it happened to be on a Friday. Or there was some other stuff where there was some conflicts in your schedule that you needed these methods classes or whatever. And then you couldn't fit that into your schedule on a Tuesday because it was already filled out, and you didn't want to do the nightmare fuel schedule where you have 4 credit classes, but they're all on Tuesday and Thursday, or Monday and Wednesday. And then it's just from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. straight classes all day. And then a day off, because you're thinking in your head, oh yeah, I get a day off, but it's just brutal. Yeah, I don't miss having to figure that out. I love grad school because you do one at a time. It's awesome. I'm loving it. Not this class though. This class sucks. This class is terrible.
Yeah, my program is awful right now too.
Now this week, looking forward to it. Now we're getting into what the students look like, and then after that, teaching and learning, and then after that, it's challenges and issues in the future. So I think the second half of the class, or the second less than half of the class, will be a lot better. And then, like you, I get into a nonfiction writing class. The next class I'm taking is a memoir writing class. So I'm really excited for that.
Oh my gosh. It's the instant jealousy mode activated. My
Yeah.
program's been, it's like anything, Brad. It's been highs and lows, but this is definitely a low period where I'm just thinking to myself, okay, now I know what it's like to be that student where you come to class and you don't feel inspired, you don't feel particularly motivated. You're just doing it to pass.
Yeah.
And I'm just
100%.
right. Like if I think about how many students now in classes I've led, just in today's world, go to school, they go to class, and it's just like, I'm just here because I need to be, but I don't feel like I'm getting anything that inspires me or just sparks something in me. So
Sure.
I'm happy for you, and I'm hoping your optimism will rub off on me, because I could really use it. It's tough out here, man. And unlike high school, you have to pay for this thing. Like if this were free, I would be a little more willing to kind of roll with the punches. But I just dropped a few $100s on this, which is like, it could be much worse. But my experience has been hit or miss.
Well, I have to tell you, Tyler, mine is free. So that's why I've been able to roll with it. Thanks, Arizona Teachers Academy. I'm not paying anything for mine. So like, this class sucks. Also, it's free. So it's a lot easier to let it go.
You deserve it. You do. Come on now. You work for that every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. This year it's
For
felt
real.
less like work. I think what we just did, ladies and gentlemen, was we brought back our, I don't even remember what it was called. What did we call that thing?
This week in grad school?
I think it's all it was this week at grad school.
It's defunct. Yeah, it's never coming back.
Coming back.
There's not enough demand for it. That's okay.
No, there was
try.
never any demand for it. It was just us
Never.
doing what we just did, but as a formal segment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just move on. We can't. This is it's kind of terrible. Let's get into what happened here, Tyler. I want to call it the book ones. I want to call it Booker's new look. All I know is we got to talk about it. Play the music.
What happened here?
Tyler,
You want to lead this? You want to lead this one, or should I?
I was going to say, Tyler, I'm going to kick it to you. I just want to say that you sent me a picture, and I replied with my comment on it. I'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, I want you to lead this one. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, he is. We will. Yes. So speaking of formal segments, speaking of dropping money, and speaking of my guys, that's been a theme so far in this episode. Devin Booker is releasing his first signature shoe with Nike. As you said, Brad, the book ones. These are going to drop spring 2024. So coming up soon in a few months, believe it or not. And I feel conflicted on these, because on one hand, this is a signature shoe for the biggest pro sports athlete in Arizona. I mean, I don't think there's any debate at this point. Larry Fitzgerald is retired. Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner are in the conversation, respectively. But Devin Booker is just, he far exceeds any Diamondback. He's got that top spot. So him getting a signature shoe, huge deal. I think every light-skinned dude under the age of 45 is going to buy these. Myself included. I'm going to put myself on blast. I'm definitely getting these, Brad. I'm going to save my Nike gift card money for this. But here's the issue. Here's why this is a fitting candidate, these book ones, for what happened here. If you're listening, if you're watching us, if you've not seen what these book ones look like, please do yourself a favor and Google them. There will be 4 different colorways, Brad, but the colorway that's gotten everyone talking is the orange edition. And this is the colorway I sent you. This is all types of orange, Brad. This is sunburst orange. This is Sunny D orange. This is everything in one sneaker. I'm not sold that I like them just yet. I think the black ones are super basic. They're super basic. Yeah. So if you go with the orange, you're definitely ready to make a statement. I don't know if they're fugly, man. I'm going to pass it to you. I sent these to you to gauge your interest, to kind of help me process my own feelings about them. What are your thoughts on the book 1 orange edition?
My thoughts were, what the hell do you wear them with? That's not just Suns clothes. Like that's the only thing. You're going to have to really work out your color palette for the rest of your fit if you want those things to work. The black ones with like the kind of like a tan swoosh on the side are super basic, but I really like the shape of the shoe. I like the look of the shoe. I would get a pair of those in a heartbeat if I didn't have duck feet. So Nikes are just like, they're all like torpedo toes. I can't wear those things. So I wish I could. Those orange creamsicle things, no, they're awful. I told you when you sent me the picture, close up, you can see the texture of them. Infinitely better. You go back 10 feet and look at them, they look like you're wearing cartoon drawn shoes. They look like the most basic shoes you would draw on a South Park character, just so they looked like they had orange shoes. Like maybe you could see the swoosh on the outside. It would be outlined on the orange and probably in gray, just so you could tell it's there. There is gray on the shoe. It's on the bottom. It's on the sole. Otherwise it is, there's like 4 different shades of orange on there. And it's, I don't like them. I can't decide either. Now, that being said, I know why they did it, because I could just think of the Usos and Roman and immediately looking at their all reds, or Kenny wearing the $14,500 red Octobers to the ring. If you're going to do that, okay, if they're all red and you see those, you're like, oh, that makes a statement. That looks really cool. Why can't you do it with this color? Because it's not red. Red's just different. Yeah. So red, I feel like you can make it work with a lot of other colors, unless you go all black or all white. You can do that, I suppose, or black and white. But you have to like make everything else basic to make the shoes look good. Otherwise, you're going to look like a cartoon yourself. Is what I think.
Yeah. And to your point, Brad, so Devin Booker's, I think, really done a masterful job in conjunction with Nike of promoting the shoe. So he's released teaser videos on social media, particularly on X. And I think it's just going to be a smashing success, especially in the state of Arizona. I don't know how it's going to translate around the country and world, but I think his status in the NBA as a superstar player is just continuing to grow. What's appealing about these sneakers is that Booker and Nike have stated they don't want this to just be an on-court sneaker.
Yeah.
They want this to actually translate into the streets, you go into a barbecue or go into a kickback. Yeah, so your point has a lot of credence that, of course, you want to hoop in these, but you could also buy these knowing, oh, I can just wear these on a Saturday or wear these to a date or whatever the occasion is. But if you're rocking the all orange joints, you really got to consider the outfit. Like, I feel like this is the type of sneaker where you probably have to buy a separate outfit in preparation for when you're going to rock it. You don't just have the fit in your closet.
Yeah.
These are going to retail at $150, Brad. So by the time you get your all white or your all black fit, we're probably talking about $250, $300 bones for this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I really like them. Don't get me wrong, but to your point, that's the reason I liked them is like, okay, they have other colorways. I kind of like the simple black ones. I like that they're black and that tan. I like that.
You like those? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they're like. I don't want to drop 150 on them. The only reason they would be 150 to me is because they have their books, but I can go get a pair of customs for the same price on the site. So I don't know if I would want to do that.
Yeah. The price range is wild. Like Asia Wilson has her own Cosmic Unity on the Nike app now for 160. The Steph Curry's at Under Armour, like nearly, I think they're 160 as well, but borderline 200.
Unless you find them on clearance for $65, but they don't fit your feet.
Miranda Outlet, shout out.
I really got to get you those.
For real.
Yeah.
For real. We'll see, man. I have a feeling this is not going to be the one and only time we discuss the book ones, but spring 2024, save your money, save your Nike gift card stash now, because they're coming soon.
And
they're loud. They're going to make us stay there. They're coming soon.
You can't ignore them.
You can't miss them.
What I was trying to look for there when I stammered into the microphone was they're unignorable. You will see them whether or not you want to. Tyler, I'm ready for speaking of can't see me and will see me. Let's get into WWE. I doubt we're talking John Cena today because a lot of stuff happened this week, but I'm ready for your question.
This is true. Let's do it. So first, big ups to Asuka and Io Sky. They had by far my favorite match in all of wrestling this week. And of course, it took place in my hometown, my backyard, Glendale, Arizona. Major FOMO for sure. But Brad, I got to ask you about the biggest news out of WWE this past week. Amidst an announcement of a new TV rights deal involving SmackDown moving to USA for big money, we got the news. Over 20 superstars were released from the company. Mm-hmm. In case you missed it, those superstars include Matt Riddle, for separate reasons. The formal list here, though. Dolph Ziggler, Shelton Benjamin, Elias, Mustafa Ali, Emma, Riddick Moss, Aaliyah, Top Dollar, Rick Boogs, Mace, Mansoor, Dana Brooke, and Dabba-Kato. Here's my question for you. I'd like you to select two names from that list. One who you see getting signed to AEW, and one who you see thriving on the independent scene, maybe making an Impact run, so on and so forth. Who you got for us?
It's tough because it's Mustafa Ali and it's not even close, right? Like he has always fit in perfectly with AEW, I feel. I still think about that promo, that video package, with the American flag in the background, of him doing that and them not using that.
He's wearing the suit, just tailored, just crisp.
Now, obviously, he couldn't have put that out there without WWE approval, so they knew about it. But it sucks that it didn't happen on TV because that character was amazing. I can't wait to see what he's doing. My trouble here is he's also my pick for the independents, because I could see him doing AEW contracts and then going to Defy and going to DDT and doing something in New Japan. I could see him doing all of that. Dabba-Kato could do well in New Japan, just because he's huge. Rick Boogs would work really well there. I could see him doing some independent stuff. I can also see him going to Impact. Riddick Moss is the one that I would also love to see in AEW. I also see him doing some stuff in the independents, likely with Emma. I think as kind of a duo for now. But I can also see both of them doing well in Impact. I think Emma would fit in Impact really well in that division since they're already stacked. And she's really good. It's just she hasn't had a character to work with. They got rid of her, brought her back, got rid of her again. It's just feels like Chelsea Green without a second chance. And I think her going there could make a ton of sense. Selfishly, I want to see Riddick Moss in AEW, and I don't want to even see him wrestle. I want to see him race Takeshita from one side of the ring to the other. They have to hit the ropes like 10 times. Whoever gets there faster wins, because those two dudes hit the ropes harder than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. That's all I want. I don't care if they wrestle. I just want to see him race.
That's a great call. For my AEW, two names. Well, for sure, Ali, 100%. I also think Dolph Ziggler would be a great fit, especially given that his brother is already there,
Yeah,
as well as Shelton Benjamin. That I think
BCC.
would be, yeah, and I think easily if Benjamin wanted this, that could transition into a backstage role, whether it's coaching or perhaps the creative team or just another veteran in that locker room who's great at what they do and also just seems to possess a lot of leadership qualities. So Dolph and Shelton for me are AEW. In terms of independent, I think Dana Brooke could be really good in
Yeah, that makes
Impact.
sense. Yeah.
I think so. I think so. I know
Are we considering
she's
Impact independent here? Because Shelton Benjamin going back to TNA, going back to Impact also.
yes.
So if in
Yeah.
that case, if we're considering that an independent, then yeah, that's
NWA maybe. I could see
yeah,
Elias. I could see Elias doing really well in NWA
agreed.
main event level.
Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No. That was in terms of I guess a non AEW route,
Yeah,
perhaps. Dana Brooke and Elias would be
yeah,
my two choices.
yeah. Can't go wrong there. Dana Brooke is also very good. It's just hasn't really fit in that system. I think Dana Brooke doing something somewhere else would make more sense. Just do.
Yeah.
I also think that I don't know if we're gonna get. I hope we get Dolph Ziggler in AEW because Dolph Ziggler is still incredible. He could main event at any
Come
point in
on.
time,
Come on now. Put
right?
him in the international title
Holy hell!
scene.
Him and Mox or him and
Yeah.
it would be great for Ryan Nemeth to get in there and like everybody them all the Nemeth boys creating a thing. Maybe he takes control over the wingmen and gets them on the main roster
I'm
because
here for it.
everybody loves Peter Avalon. Like put Peter Avalon on screen with Ryan and Nick Nemeth, and I think it could be a lot of fun because those guys can lean into it. We know that Dolph can do silly. He did Spirit Squad, so he can do kind of whatever he wants out there. I don't know if he'll go specifically because he said when he's done with WWE, he wants to go work on his stand-up career and then do a pundit spot over at Fox News, which was a little bit unfortunate.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
I was not aware of this. Dolph. I got
Yes.
questions, man.
So I
He's
think
doing the Tyrus. He's doing the
yeah, he wanted
Tyrus.
to go work with Tyrus. Yeah.
He's doing the Tyrus.
But I know he really wants to do a stand-up. The good thing with AEW though is he'd probably be able to do both and be able to do both dates. So we'll see what happens, but can't go wrong with those picks. There's a lot of talent.
Yeah, absolutely. I also have enjoyed Aaliyah's work. I know, again, she's been kind of hit or miss in spots, but she's been around a long time in the NXT system. You could argue that perhaps her development definitely hasn't matched some of her peers, but I also hope that she continues her work, and I'm eager to see what's next for her too.
Yeah, the thing about that is too, like she got put into some pretty big spots almost right away when she was on the main roster, which kind of felt unfair to me. Granted, I don't know what was happening in main event, and I don't know what was happening in house shows. So she had some sloppy moments and some unfortunate moments on television, and then she disappeared from television. But I don't know how much was I don't know how supported she was on her way up. I feel like she could have a run somewhere else and do a really good job and still get to work and do all that she wants to do. I just hope these people land on their feet. We don't know any of these people. I just, anybody losing their job is tough. So hopefully everything goes well with all involved. Tyler. Okay. After the TKO merger, obviously there were going to be cuts. We know that, I don't know if we talked about this, but all the employees in WWE, in the kind of the corporate structure were sent home to work from home for a day. And that is protocol after a merger. Most of the time, everybody gets sent home and then they get their phone call at their house and they either come back to work or they don't. So there are obviously going to be cuts, but this doesn't apply to, or this doesn't rule out people that are returning. Just because people got cut doesn't mean that they can't come back. So that being said, I'll try to, this might be a little verbose, so I apologize. What should fiscal responsibility look like when you're considering active storylines for the product that's generating your revenue? For example, Mustafa Ali and the North American title picture, and that storyline just sort of not existing anymore? What should the responsibility for people, both fiscally and in regards to the product that is actually making them their money?
Yeah. So I thought you were going with the Dominic Mysterio Mustafa Ali route. Their scheduled match at No Mercy this weekend clearly isn't happening unless we're being swerved in a major way. The fiscal responsibility. So I would love for. So obviously with these non-compete clauses, whether it's 30 days, 90 days, talent are still receiving money during that time period. So number one, didn't want this to happen, but at least they're receiving that compensation, even if they won't be in a ring
Agreed.
anytime in the immediate future. Yeah, so that's good. But of course, I would love to see the storyline actually play out where we got that match this weekend. I think as long as they're, hopefully I'm answering your question, as long as they're compensating talent, I'm really good with that. But anytime these big announcements come out, Brad, I'm always so hesitant because we've been conditioned now to know that once a big financial goal has been reached or an acquisition or a merger occurs, that employees then often suffer after that and their jobs are on the line. So as long as talent are being compensated, I'm good with that, even if that means that we announced a match, it's being taken away because someone was let go. I don't love that as a fan, but as long as I know Mustafa Ali is going to get that check, and we know he's going to thrive once he is able to get back out there, I'm good with that. But hopefully, I was kind of locking in on your question there.
I struggle with it because it's.
How about you?
Yeah, it's your answer was great. I struggle with it because it's like, okay, we know we have to make these cuts because we have a lot of overlap now, and now because UFC is doing marketing stuff. WWE is doing marketing stuff. Do we need two different marketing teams for the same product? Which is weird because they're different products. And I don't get how all that works. I just think it's crazy that all these people would lose their job. If there are redundant positions, though, or positions they just want to put in with their own people, it could be one of those things where it's, hey, you're going to go home. We're going to interview you and see if you're right for the position to do the new version of your job, or if we have to replace you. So I can see that happening. What got me was that Vince said that the business was stagnating or plateauing, and that's why he wanted to do the merger after they're posting largest profits, largest gates, biggest attendance records, all of these things, and boasting about how they very clearly are not plateauing. And the viewership numbers have been on the rise, especially for SmackDown. What are you talking about? It just felt like a justification for money. And I get it. But just say that. Just say I'm 77, 78 years old. I'm old as shit. I am a problematic human being that people think are scum because of the way I treat women. Also, people love me for the opportunities. If I go now and leave, I can make a ton of money. And Tyler, what happened was exactly what I predicted. What would happen is the merger's going to happen, and then they're going to want Vince out of there as soon as it's over. And it was within a week of the merger, they're talking about buying out Vince because he's too much of a liability and a PR risk. He'll make $3 billion on the sale. So
that's nuts. And how I got to get this in before I forget. Isn't it a little hypocritical that, okay, we're going to force Vince out because he's too problematic? But have we talked about the top dog in UFC, my man who was caught
they don't care about
slapping around his wife
and saying homophobic crap, your champion saying homophobic slurs and racist stuff in the ring.
Like, this is not we're talking about different transgressions in their lives, but I think we're talking about two guys cut from the same cloth. Of these are kind of trash human beings. I'm all for redemption, and I know I'm not perfect, and I have my redemption to work on. But these guys, Brad, I think Dana White's just a younger Vince. Am I wrong? Is that a hyperbolic statement?
No, but he's also he's one of those weirdo alphas. It's the Tate kind of alpha, where they're just like, I'm right all the time, and I'm just speaking my mind. It's like, no, you're being an asshole, and you're racist, and you're sexist, and you're homophobic. Like, all of those things, like speaking your mind and knowing when not to, are two different things. But Dana coming out and talking about Matt Riddle in an interview when Matt was like, the UFC, blah, blah, blah. and he was like, this guy was always on drugs and he's all this stuff, and he can't not smoke or can't not do this stuff. He's a ridiculous human being. And then WWE releasing him kind of had a point there. So sometimes the worst person you know is right. Vince McMahon has given us entertainment for 40 years and has given livelihoods to probably thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, made people a lot of money, provided benefits and salaries to a huge chunk of human beings. So it's not all bad, but when you see people get fired from this company, and we don't really know, they never really announced why, but it always seems to come down to budgetary concerns. And then Vince is going to sell for $3 billion. It's kind of insane to me. Now, granted, you got this talent that's not being used on your rosters. You should probably let him go work, because they're not doing them any favors. So releasing them is actually probably an act of kindness, career longevity wise, in a career that requires you to be in the spotlight. And if you're not in any light at all, you're going to lose all of your name. You're going to lose any of your credibility and any of your ability to get booked on the independent. So these guys aren't going to get booked if people forget who they are, in other words. So I don't know. It's really complicated, but I guess the long and short here is that I don't like that they do the releases. They could have waited a week and ended that feud. Dominic could have beat down Mustafa Ali or something, and then the storyline's over. He goes away in an ambulance, and then he's released after that. That way there is still some kind of, because I don't know what you do now with Dom. Like, Dom almost has to go like, it wasn't going to happen. I made him so scared that he got himself released, is basically all you can do with that story now, is he got himself fired or whatever. And I'm sure I'm sure Ali or Adil would be fine with that for storyline's sake. But I just found it weird that they couldn't keep the financial part out of the storyline. And that kind of hurts your overall product, because how do you trust that now?
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, speaking of wrestling companies and budget concerns, we got another segment, Brad. We got to talk about a recent docuseries on Netflix that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's called Wrestlers. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. Play the music.
And now, it's time for GI at the Movies.
Brad, I'm going to read some names to you here. You may know these people. John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Batista, Shelton Benjamin, and Randy Orton. These are all graduates of Ohio Valley Wrestling, which, although no longer affiliated with WWE, is a Louisville, Kentucky-based wrestling promotion. So Wrestlers just dropped on Netflix, 7-episode docuseries. It chronicles the current state of OVW, and not only the characters and the wrestlers they have, the superstars, dare I say, but it also gives you a behind the scenes look at the business, the kind of small business aspect of running a wrestling promotion. It's fantastic, Brad. I know you are going to love this. If you're listening or watching us right now, would love to know your thoughts at GIPod19. It's really centered around these two businessmen. One is a local sports radio guy in the area who buy OVW. So they are now working in conjunction with kind of not the CEO, but the coach, the lead creative, Al Snow, to run this organization and to finally, hopefully, start generating money for the company, because month after month, year after year, OVW's been losing thousands upon thousands of dollars. There are some notable talents involved in this show as well. Mahabali Shera, formerly of Impact fame. Hollywood Haley J, who I think was really the star of this. She even had a WWE tryout within the last week or so.
Cool.
It's fantastic, Brad. We also get several clips of Al Snow with his head gimmick from back in the day. So I would love to know, what are your memories with Al Snow? I don't think we've talked about him much on air or off air, but I would imagine that he definitely stuck out to you from the Attitude Era.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Mr. Bruce Castle, my band director in high school. He is, I would consider him a friend. He lives in Escanaba, Michigan, still there, I believe. And we were in the pit together for Guys and Dolls. Actually, it was when I did Guys and Dolls in the pit, and I was in the trumpet section, and he played trombone next to us. And we had this set up. It was me, Joe Shout, who else is back there? Brian Woods is back there, very professional Brian Woods, and then the rest of us. We had
sounds like a work name, Brian Woods.
Yes.
Illustrious Brian Woods.
We got a 13-inch CR TV down there with Lethal Enforcer and a Sega Genesis. We had a cooler with snacks in it, and up in the corner we had a mannequin head, a styrofoam mannequin head with "help" written backwards on it. And before every show, I would grab it and just shake it above my head.
Yes.
And yell, "What does everybody want?" when I'd walk in. And Al Snow was a huge part of my childhood for some reason. I loved him in the Attitude Era. I loved his Bat Bleep Crazy gimmick. Everybody loved Head. Everybody loves Head. It's hard to say that without smirking or chuckling or getting a, "Excuse me?" That's inappropriate from somebody that doesn't know what's happening there. And if any of you are hearing this for the first time, you're probably super duper confused right now.
Yeah, Mom, I'm gonna send you the clip. I'm gonna give you the backstory. I got you. It's kind of as bad as it sounds, but it'll make sense. I got you, Mom.
The long and short is he had a mannequin head that he would talk to, and he would hold it above his head and shake it around. But also, yeah, you should probably see the clip, because people would have a head chants. It was just absolutely wild. Yeah,
different time. The 90s were.
And that wasn't even close to the most extreme thing with Val Venus on the card. So there's or the Godfather. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. But anyway, I loved Al Snow. I think he might be one of the most underrated workers from that era. Guy's incredible in the ring. I know he coached in various places for a while after his career, including WWE for a long time, I believe. Before
he had a run in Impact or TNA in-ring run too. Yeah, he's an
ECW legend. He's had an incredible career, and to see him doing this is really cool. Some of the stories about him aren't great coming out online about him commenting on the way women look and some pretty misogynist stuff. Whether or not those things are true, I don't know. Feels gross, but as a wrestler, I really loved watching him growing up.
I love that, man. I can't wait for your thoughts on this one. You're just gonna love it. I know you will. Highly recommend this. If you have Netflix, check it out.
Can't wait to get into it. As much as I can't wait to get into that, I can't wait to get into these AEW questions. So hit me with it.
Yeah. So I got some background for you here, and I'm gonna roll right into it. This is very Dynamite Grand Slam centric. Okay. Eddie Kingston got his big moment finally. Saraya and Toni Storm had a really good match. I'm really enjoying Toni Storm's illustrious.
So good,
Brad. It's so good. Sammy turned on Jericho, and this was all fair. Yep. Yes, Yambag City, and they were playing off of Chris Jericho and what was it, Shawn Michaels?
Same thing.
Didn't realize it in the moment.
Then the nut shot. Yeah.
Yep. And this was not televised, but if you have a social media account, namely X. Check this out. Tony Khan did the Daniel Garcia dance, or attempted to. I'm not really. I'm not really sure what it was, but it made me happy.
Pretty stiff. Those legs are pretty stiff. Yeah, a little wooden.
Stiff.
Yeah, a little wooden.
So lots to enjoy from All Elite Wrestling. There's so much more that occurred during Grand Slam week. I did catch most of Rampage. I need to go back and watch all of Collision, but I want to focus on Wednesday's main event and where we go from here. MJF, the hometown hero, defeated Samoa Joe, retaining his AEW World Championship. Now, we know that MJF and Adam Cole are defending their ROH World Tag titles at Wrestle Dream. Somehow that's this weekend against the Righteous. I want to look ahead, though, Brad. Full Gear will be in Los Angeles on November 18th.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have an MJF title defense at that show.
I agree.
Here's my question. Who will be his next opponent for the gold?
I have no idea.
Adam, I got you. I'm giving you one or two.
Give it good.
Pause for dramatic effect. His next opponent, namely at Full Gear, the title match. Adam Cole or the Field?
The Field.
Really? You don't think it's going to be Adam Cole?
Nah.
Wow. Okay.
No, I think I don't know. Do you want to see another one? Adam Cole's lost both.
Yes.
So unless it's a triple threat, I don't know. I don't know that we need it.
Who would you put in there? Can we get some Swerve action?
He's the one right now.
Okay. I think
Right?
he's beating Hangman.
I think so too. So like I don't know who else he put in there unless somebody from New Japan shows up to challenge or I got nothing, man. I don't know who else they've kind of got nothing going on right now in the main title picture. They could heat somebody up by then, obviously, but what's Miro doing? Miro had a match and then disappeared for a month. I'm tired of this Miro disrespect. Maybe he's filming, maybe there's something going on, but like Lana's then there, or CJ Perry's there, but Miro, please put Miro in that match. Have Miro and MJF have a classic. It'll be amazing. Put Hobbs in there. Do something. I just don't know who you put in there. I don't know. Swerve's the only one that I can think of right now that would make sense. Of course, you and I would both probably be fine with Keith Lee doing that, but it should be Swerve, and I think Swerve should win if that's the case.
Wow.
Yeah,
that would be huge. I think it's going to happen. Will it happen November 2023 Full Gear? It might be wishful on our part, but I'm here for it.
Who's the wrestler that has the most devastating neck attacks? Because MJF's selling the neck for the last like
neck
month.
Strong. Right,
so
right.
I'm thinking Swerve with that back kick into the back of the neck, followed by a curb
house call.
Yeah, followed by a curb stomp. I think that would be the thing to kill MJF. Go after the neck, do both of those things. The only other thing I can think is Mox. They're not going to do that. No. We've already seen that feud. Yeah. Mox doesn't need the belt. It's who else can we build off of that? And I don't know if they have anybody right now that I would say is a clear front runner for that belt. Who would you put in there?
I mean, that's a real dilemma. I think it's going to be Adam Cole. That's the only person I can see at the moment that makes sense. To what you said though, Brad, MJF is 2-0 on him, right? Or I guess,
well,
right, he's effectively
2-1 or 1-1.
Right. I'm not going to overthink it. I think it's going to be Adam Cole. I think that's likely where MJF drops the belt to Adam Cole, and then we go full heel turn for AC, baby.
Well, let's see if Adam Cole's healthy enough to even do it after jumping down from that thing and then leaving the hospital on crutches. So hopefully
the Cole and the Mox match against Ray Phoenix earlier in the night was super.
Concussions
for these guys.
I thought he broke his neck, but it turns out it was just some concussions, and then not counting to 3. Like, you gotta commit. If they don't kick, you can always hit the mat for 3 and then go wave it off. No, 2 if he moves at the last second. But if you just stop and then go where he very clearly is just dead, like, what are you doing?
It was a tough night for Rick Knox.
Oh, it was rough, man. It was rough. So was not a fan of that, but that's also probably speaking to Mike Chioda's comments a long time ago that there's a lot that they could learn from him in terms of how to officiate, especially in those moments, where to stand. AEW refs tend to get bumped into more than any refs I've ever seen. They're just always in the wrong spots in the ring. And I don't know if that speaks to the refs or to the talent not knowing where they need to be in those spots. Everybody's just trying out there. So, but there has to be some sort of protocol. Here's where you go in these situations, much like a baseball game where they know where to stand in a certain scenario. I feel like that's something that needs to be taught. But back to the main question, I don't know who it is. I don't know. You could have Ricky, who's been on a losing streak, so I can't see that. Big Cass, no. You could throw in there. Jake Hager, you could throw in there, but I don't want to see that.
I don't think that's going on the poster.
WrestleMania main event, Jake Hager. Apparently.
I'm telling you, man, it's going to be something to keep an eye on. I'm just really eager to see what they do in this next month and change. You got to have MJF defend BBB at
It has
Full
to
Gear.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it didn't happen at All Out. The show was still great, but Full Gear, LA, glitz and glamour, it's got to be the main event.
Yeah, I'm with you. We have to trust Tony Khan on here. But speaking of trusting Tony Khan, okay, I got a lot here. Ready? Eddie Kingston finally got his flowers by winning the ROH title despite being on AEW TV, winning on AEW TV, and being represented on AEW TV after quitting AEW in storyline. The Righteous won a match for going to Wrestle Dream for the ROH tag titles, and the Elite won the ROH six-man titles. Despite some incredible wrestling this week, including the Texas death match between Danielson and Starks, wow, that was brutal. AEW has still fallen into the lazy trap of ROH stuff on AEW television, giving none of us an incentive to watch the ROH product. Tyler, is this an incentive, or excuse me, is this an indication of AEW/ROH moving to a streaming service? Or is this an indication of Tony Khan not knowing what to do with his products? I will accept no other answers.
What I want to be true is letter A, that we're getting the streaming service. The AEW pay-per-view calendar over these last 2 months, Brad, is
It's ridiculous.
absurd. You and I are absolutely buying Wrestle Dream this weekend. Do I have the funds for it? Absolutely not. But
$200 in the last couple of months. It's crazy.
Over wrestling. Like, I love it. But Tony, can we just expedite this HBO Max?
Yeah, it's getting out of control here, man.
Like, yeah, $10 extra a month to add to Max sounds a lot better than $50 pay-per-views every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I hope that's true, man. But I do want to give some credence to the letter B that you presented. You and I have spoken about this really ad nauseum over the last few months, and really all year, is this mixing of ROH and AEW, and it doesn't feel super cohesive. Low key, I'm actually super happy that Eddie and Claudio did not main event, respectfully, because you would have the NJPW and ROH gold main eventing ahead of your AEW World Championship. So
Yeah.
it's not cohesive. I totally forgot that Eddie quit AEW.
Yeah.
I remember him backstage leaving, but I had not thought about that in months. You're so right, Brad. I hope it's letter A, but I would be lying to you if I said I don't think B is also really, really true.
I feel like he's trying to heat it up and get people to have interest in ROH. And he always talks about having some crossover, right? Separate, but some crossover. This is not some. You're not even having ROH talent with titles. It's all AEW talent, I think, because nobody knows. Ethan Page is apparently ROH talent now.
I didn't realize that.
You should be.
I saw something about he could be the next challenger for Eddie, or I think maybe Eddie mentioned him, name dropped him.
Yes. Yeah.
And at that point, I tried to follow AEW Weekly. I had no clue Ethan Page was an ROH.
I would be fine if Eddie won this belt, beat Claudio, and then immediately lost it to Ethan Page. I would be totally fine with that, because Eddie having a run doesn't matter. It's him getting that belt that mattered, and getting it from Claudio that mattered. That was the end of that story. He finished his story before Cody, and we're all happy about it. So, like, the Eddie getting his flowers is great. Ethan Page has been criminally underutilized. Criminally. That dude is incredible on the mic. He's great in the ring. He has a wonderful presence. His character rules. And you put him with the Hardys, and it was going well until it was like, oh, let's just separate the two and throw Ethan over here. We'll highlight the old people and then have your young stud disappear to go to ROH TV as a draw to ROH TV when you made us not care about him by having him do nothing. I don't get it, man. Like, not everybody's going to have spots and time. It's just not the way it works. But I don't feel like they have a handle on what the tag division is supposed to look like, because your really good tag teams aren't being tag teams right now. You're calling up new tag teams, which is cool. I like the Righteous. I don't care about them right now. I like them, but I don't care about them. So there's no incentive to, like, the 1 day promo and then immediately you're fighting the top guys is weird. It's just really strange. It's different if it's Aussie Open. They're established. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. They've held all over. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, like, if they show up and challenge, okay, I'm in. But when it's like who are these guys? What in the AEW?
That's
dark is happening?
That's exactly the vibe. That's it.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like the Attitude Era before they really started heating up, when they were just throwing stuff into the ring to see what would work. I feel like there's an LOD 2000, there's the Headbangers, there's the what is it, AOP, there's a couple of others that are in there that are just there and in AEW right now, and then you have your New Age Outlaws, kind of literally. But the trios titles have taken precedent over the tag division to the point where I don't really care what FDR is doing. You know, messed up that's got to be, to not care what the best tag team is doing in the world. So it's just, there's too many belts, way too many belts on this product. I don't know what I'm supposed to care about between New Japan and Ring of Honor and AEW. And people go like, well, who cares? It's just all scripted and stuff. It's like, yes, but the prop is there. And the match is made important because there are stakes for a company that isn't the company I'm watching. Like WWE, for all its faults, and there are a lot of faults that WWE does, some of the stuff they do is really boring, and some of the stuff they do is really compelling. They're all over the place with it. It's hot and cold all the time. For all their faults, I always know what their championship match is going to be and why it's there, because I don't have to worry about it. But they're starting to do that stuff with NXT titles, and then I don't know what to care about. Dom's an NXT champion on the main roster. So what's happening? Is NXT main roster? Because I don't know what's happening anymore. So that's your developmental guy that people are saying should be back in development, has a developmental title on the main roster. And I don't know what to do with that information.
It's a little chaotic, to say the least, Brad.
I wanted to say it's holding gold. And speaking of golden, was my transition into it.
I was gonna get out. There's chaos. There's gold. There's a lot here. Yep. Talk to us, Brad. I'm ready.
I don't have anything else, Tyler.
Okay. Well, it's not.
Speaking of Eddie getting his flowers 15 minutes ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're time for more flowers, Tyler. Golden flowers. In fact, it's time for another edition of A Rose from Tyler, maybe Brad, Golden Bachelor edition.
And now, for a rose from GI's most eligible bachelor.
Let me say, I'm so stoked for this. I'm gonna try to make it as expedient as humanly possible. Got to give you some background here, Brad. Thursday, the big night. It is the premiere of The Golden Bachelor, and we're going to be following Gary's story here. He's 71, and this is from the official bio on ABC's website. He's a retired restaurateur and doting father and grandfather. He lives in his dream house on a beautiful lake in Indiana. He's often busy hosting barbecues, playing pickleball, cheering on his favorite Chicago sports teams, and much more. Always a romantic, Gary Turner, married his high school sweetheart, Tony, in 1974. Unfortunately, she suddenly fell ill and passed away in 2017. So 6 years after Tony's passing, and with the support of his family, Gary is ready to put himself out there and find a love that will stand the test of time in his golden years. Do you want me to get into my predictions, Brad, before we hear your questions, or vice versa?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's do this thing. So 22 women in total are vying for Gary's heart. Here are my three favorites, the three I need you to look out for. We have Sandra. She's 75. She's a retired executive assistant from Georgia. Looking at the bio, watching the video, I put her on this list because she's already become a fan favorite of Batch Nation.
Yep.
Big personality. She likes to dance. And one of her fun facts, two of her fun facts actually. One, she appealed on Wheel of Fortune back in the day and won. So I think that's good karma. And then secondly, she on her bio it says anything by Luther Vandross puts her in the mood. So she's a winner in my book right off the bat. Number two, Christina, 73, retired purchasing manager. Her first concert was the Beatles in 1964.
Saw that. Yep.
Yeah, and she wants to go skydiving with her grandson for the second time, so she seems pretty adventurous. Finally, Brad, who you need to look out for, my homegirl Marina. She's 60. She's an educator from Los Angeles. She has let us know that she's brought her pickleball with her. Insert eyebrow wiggle. She does an eyebrow wiggle when she tells us that. So I think pickleball is going to unite her and Gary. So like I said, she's a teacher. She has 3 master's degrees. I'm struggling to just get one, but this queen has 3. So big shout out to her. My only question though for Marina here and some of the other women are, Gary seems pretty committed to being in Indiana. Will he want to move? Very curious to see how that plays out. I can't wait for this. I don't know what exactly is in store Thursday night, Brad, but sign me up. I'm committed to this one.
I didn't look. Is it Gary or is it Jerry?
It's Gary. Yeah. So
it's Gary.
I've been playing mind games with myself for weeks, Brad. He spells it Gerry.
Get over yourself, Gary.
He pronounces it Gary though.
Yeah, I know, Gary.
Very, very, very complex man.
Okay, so a couple of notes that I wrote down. My favorites: Sandra, Marina. I put Marina rules in my notes.
She's beautiful.
I also wanted to put out love to Ellen. Ellen is also a teacher, or former teacher, retired teacher.
A few of them.
Okay, here are a few things that I picked up from. I watched one of the intro to the ladies videos, and they had some questions and stuff.
I did it, everyone. Brad's here. I did it. Let's go.
If you say, I'm not like what people think of a 73-year-old, implying youthful exuberance, followed by, I have a zest for life. Are you, in fact, an old person?
Yes.
Okay. Second question. It's like a zest for life. You can't be saying shit like that and then go, I have a zest for life.
Yeah, I've never used that word, but I respect it.
I respect it too. Okay. How many of these contestants do we see put S's at the end of words that aren't plural? How many of you do you think out of the, what is it, 22 contestants?
22.
How many do you think pluralize things that aren't plural? How many of them are going to Walmarts?
Not as many as we think. I'm going to say a solid 4.
Okay, that's about where I was too, 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Because it's definitely an old person thing. All right, finally, no disrespect to any of these people for me calling them older. We'll call them silver. Do we have pickleball in every episode?
Not every episode, but it will be mentioned every episode. We won't see pickleball action, but it will be alluded to every episode. Gary just wants to find his pickleball partner. That's what I've gleaned from all that I've seen and read.
That's definitely every one of the dates, right? That's
yes,
100%.
Maybe multiple dates.
Maybe multiple. Okay.
Yeah.
Because watching the video is like, I like pickleball, and then it just cut pickleball. Different people saying pickleball over and over and over again, and I was like, all right, these are strong candidates right here. Yeah, I thought it was great. I'm actually looking forward to it because it's such an interesting wrinkle, but it also made me desperately sad. Here's why. Most of them are like, this is my last chance for love. I just want to have one final chance for love. All this. Only one of you's winning. So 21 of you never loving again. It's over for you. Just the sweet release of death for you after that, according to your conversation with the camera, where it's, this is my last chance for love. And I was like, damn, if you lose, it's just over. It's just over. No love for you. That made me so sad. So I kind of don't want to watch because of that.
Listen, man, the stakes are high. Yeah, this is brand new for Bachelor Nation. I'm so glad you're leaning into this, Brad. I can't wait to talk more about it with you. Yeah, Thursday night, it'll be streaming on Hulu, I believe, next day. Check it out. I think it's going to be worthwhile.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Golden Girls, but reality show, because we're going to get some saucy 60 to 70-year-old comments that are going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that. Can't wait to see what it is. And to your point, yes, a lot of beautiful people on here, and I love that they're giving some attention to that. Beauty can be older, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's really, really cool. So there's a lot of reasons to be interested in this show, even though I still think it's exploitive and gross. Okay. Tyler, what did we miss?
What did we miss? That was super funny. I just got two notes here, man. Very, very much sports related. So Colorado, their football team suffered their first loss of the year. They are now 3-1. They got dismantled by the Oregon Ducks in Eugene. And I'm watching Colorado every week. I'm super tuned into it. I'm full rooting for Dion and his sons. But yeah, that game was super rough. What's really exciting though, Brad, is the WNBA playoffs are continuing. The semifinals have kicked off. So we got the Dallas Wings matching up against the Las Vegas Aces, the reigning champs. And on the other side, we're seeing the Connecticut Sun against the New York Liberty. So really the question is, are we going to get the battle that we've been clamoring for all year? Is it going to be Liberty versus Aces, super matchup in the WNBA finals? Or are the Dallas Wings or Connecticut Sun going to play spoiler? I still think we're getting Liberty Aces ultimately. I think Liberty are gonna take the title this year, but I can't wait to see how all this plays out. What about on your end? What did we miss for you?
Nothing. I'm really enjoying Ahsoka. I love Only Murders in the Building this week was incredible. The song that happens, it's just all so good. So Cliffhanger City, huge cliffhanger this week. Looking forward to getting back to that. Otherwise, not much. I haven't been watching very many sports. When I have a moment, it's usually with Jess. Tuesdays have been something I look forward to now because we get to sit down, watch Ahsoka, watch Only Murders in the Building. By the time that's over, I think there's other shows starting up. Season 2 of Loki, and then Curse of Oak Island, which is the only reality TV show really that I watch. Hopefully for your part, that it'll end up being the Golden Bachelor as well on Thursdays, because I'm not watching ROH. So. Yeah, there's a lot going on, a lot of good stuff.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of good stuff, man, I had a blast this episode. If you are still hearing us or seeing us right now, we hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for being here. And for real, Brad and I receive texts or messages occasionally after these episodes drop, and the love, the kind words that we get just really, really fills our bucket. So thank you so much. We hope you had a blast. Tell a friend about us too, because we are here and really excited about what the rest of the year has in store for GI. And we hope you'll join us again for next week's edition. Gimmick Infringement is a part of 19 Media Group. You can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube via the 19 Media Group channel. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Thank you.